Hey guys, time for part 2 of Car Diary story time. So, where did I end? I ended with talking about me getting ready to return. Oh no, we went home for July 4th weekend. So, in the midst of all this stuff going on with my hormonal imbalance, especially I feel was my driving force, I had the brilliant idea that I suddenly needed to move so that we can be near family. So I began looking for jobs near my family, not really knowing where we were going to move. We knew that moving my parents, that was absolutely not an option. I was just like on the job hunt. I applied maybe for about 3 or 4 different jobs, got called for an interview, and so we went home July 4th weekend, and that, I don't know if it was a Monday, whatever it was, I had my interview that day. Really good interview. Everything went well, and I came on back to work, and I'm like, okay, let me start work part-time. Let's see what happens. I would say maybe a week later, they called me from their interview. I was offered the job, and we actually went apartment hunting while we were there for that weekend, just in case, so I could have things lined up. Apartment place that we really liked because we knew we wanted another townhome. Another place we liked, they were like, we should have something open probably by the time you're ready to move, and all this other thing. They knew I was moving from another city, and so they were like, we should have something ready and available by then, which would be, probably in another month or so, or at least 3 weeks, at minimum, by the beginning of August. They had everything ready. We had the application. We filled it out. All I would have had to do was just send them the money to go ahead and do everything. So they was like all set. Everything was lined up, just about ready to go. All I needed was the call from the job giving me the offer, in which I got that. So I get the job offer. I let them know, let me, they understood the situation. They knew what was going on. So they were well aware of the fact that I would be needing to move. Now, where we live here, our lease was nowhere near up. So I was just going to rush and break my lease. I was going to just leave, and we'll pay the fee to break it and all that. Now, mind you, not really thinking. I just was set on what I was thinking, and that was it. Not thinking things through or nothing. So I'm like, no, we're leaving. I'm just gonna break the lease or whatever I need to do. That's fine. I'll deal with it later, and all this. Basically making bad decisions is what I was getting ready to do. So I accept the job offer. I called the apartments to let them know, hey, we're getting ready. I was offered the position, so we need to, get ready to go ahead and do everything. Is the apartment ready within the next 2 weeks? Oh, we probably will not have anything ready by then. It'll be at least another month and a half to 2 months before we have the one that you wanted available. Excuse me? You told me that this will be ready ahead of time. So I am in an emergency situation where I need to find another place. I'm not running back up there right now. I just had a baby that's 3.5 months or so, and I'm not about to run back up there right now. That's just not what I'm going to be able to do. So my mom starts to help me a little bit looking for places, but I noticed she started looking for places that was just near her, and I'm like, we're not moving real close, because we still have this dynamic of I love my mom and being around my family, but I don't want to be around them all the time. One, I have not lived there like longer than a summer since I was 18. So going into a 30-year-old, moving back home, I'm like, I need to make sure we still have enough distance from everybody until we get adjusted to this. Like, it's not about them, it's about us being adjusted to being around family. Devon is not used to it, and I wanted to make sure like our marriage stays good, because, you know, bringing in new situation, that's new environment, more families around. I didn't want him to feel any kind of way, because it's only my family that would be around all the time. So it would just be a lot of different factors that I had to take into account. And I'm just like, okay, no, we're not gonna go no place close. And so at this point, I have also notified my job, let them know, like, look, here's the deal. I am probably going to move. I've actually gotten a job offer. They are going to work with me on my date and everything. It's been told to me that they're going to, you know, kind of work around with me being able to move and, you know, all these different things like that. And I had proceeded to start to wrap up my job, writing out everything for whoever the next person would be to come after me, as well as the person who was there then, who our job, we had did the same job but for separate places, but she was going to come do my job until they hired somebody else. So I was making sure to get everything, teach her everything that I do, teach her all the protocol and practices and policies and all that stuff. Well, I'm emailing the folks at the new place where I got the new job offer to kind of iron out a few details. It's particularly the exact start date. I was going to let them know, you know, hey, I'm having some issues with the place we were going to move to, so I got to come, you know, try to figure some new things out to give me let me add at least another few days onto what I was originally going to do, just to give myself enough time to get all this done. Well, they weren't responding to emails. They weren't returning my calls. It was just a big ordeal where I'm like, what the heck is going on? Like, you guys are not organized. Well, somehow they must have just turned everything into HR, because I started getting all the HR paperwork. They listed a whole nother date other than what was negotiated, and which was way sooner, like a week after I got the acceptance phone call. They knew I didn't live there, and I was not going to leave my family here and go back and forth and try to stay at my mom's for the time being or nothing. Like, they understood this during the interview, which I explained all of that, and they were like, oh yeah, you know, that's no problem. We'll, you know, that's no biggie. Well, I end up saying, okay, let me take a break and a breather. Literally sit on this, think about it, and pray. So Devon in this entire thing has been very supportive of me. He was game for whatever, you know, I wanted to do. He was like, you know, if it's a job that you think that you would really like, then let's go for it. So I was like, you know, it was more money. You know, let's try to do this. Let's try to start a new chapter with, now that we have a child, let's move near family, because everything has been put into a new perspective, and, you know, all these different things was happening all at the same time. Well, I end up not really liking any of the other apartments. They were too small for my liking. And I'm like, okay, we're going from a townhome to an apartment. That's not going to work. So I decided just to not do any of it. Just to not do any of it. I felt guilt leaving my job the way I was going to leave my job. I felt terrible for breaking my lease. You know, like, everything started just feeling like it was weighing on me with all these decisions and a hasteness that I was doing it in started to catch up to me. And I'm like, I can't do this. And so I started to research the new, because it's within the same organization. It was for another university, but it's the same one that I work for, just in a different place. I started doing my own research and trying to figure out who I was getting ready to work for, and I was not happy with what I was finding out. So I was like, you know what? That alone was enough clarity for me as well to no longer want to do that job. So I sent him a polite email letting him know I was thankful for the opportunity and that I would have to decline the offer of accepting the position instead. I talked to my boss, let him know, like, look, things just aren't quite right, so I am going to cancel this. I'm not going to do it. And they were like, you gonna stay? I was like, yeah. So they were happy that I decided to stay, and I'm very grateful and thankful that they were as flexible as they was with me. I think they could also tell that I was a little bit in a different mental place as well. And that to me was the first time where I'm like, okay, I am literally trying to run off of these hormonal imbalances that I'm experiencing, and I'm trying to supplement it with something else, and that's not what I should be doing. So that's the extent of all the stress that happened in the first 3 months of me becoming a mom. And so finally we stayed, we did not leave. Everything kind of like fell into place for me after that. Like everything, I got more content in my job. I was, in my groove as a mom. Things were just really, really good. Devon and I's relationship was growing and blossoming really well. Everything was just going good. Like, I don't even know other ways to put it. But once I realized that I had these issues, I had to take some time to figure it out myself. You know what I mean? Like, I had to figure out what the heck was happening. Once I did that, everything was good. Like, I had no more problems, no more issues. And it was like all of my weight, baggage, and things were being lifted from me. I still felt, I would say that my hormonal imbalance, it kind of lasted a while. I did not go see a doctor. In which, after the fact, I realized I probably should have. But I just kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and eventually I got there. But I probably should have went to the doctor. But I was like, I don't think, I'm depressed. I'm just like, I don't think at that point, I was no longer depressed. Once I went back to work, I was no longer depressed. It was just that I was making irrational decisions hastily. And that's what I feel like was happening for me. That's what my imbalance was making me do. Just make rush decisions quickly and then try to, here's the reason why we need to do this, and try to sell it to everybody else at the same time. So I'm very happy and thankful that our life is here in Indy and that we did not move. I'm so thankful that we didn't move. I'm very, very thankful that we did not move, guys. That is all that I had to deal with becoming a mom. I hope this story helps someone to understand about transitioning as a mom, who was a first-time mom, who had never had any experience even being around an infant, never held an infant, never changed the infant's diaper. That was all me. That was all me, you guys. I had never really been around an infant like that longer than, maybe an hour or two. And I'd never held an infant before. I had never changed a kid's diaper before. It was an entire new world for me. And now I wouldn't change that process for anything. I'm so thankful and happy that I finally made the connection with January, and her and me, we have the relationship that we have today. And this little girl's about to be 3 in 3 months, I think. 3 in 3 months. Like, where did the time go? I don't know, but it feels like yesterday that I gave birth to her. So yeah, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this kind of story time. I've never given a story time, but I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you have not, please subscribe, thumbs up the video, comment below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.